Hello everybody and welcome to my 2025 expansion pack ranking video. Today I feel like pissing off some of my subscribers because I have some really controversial takes on expansion packs in The Sims 4, so in this video we're going to talk about it. Now before you unsubscribe, let me explain myself. The way I'm going to be ranking these packs are going to be totally subjective based on what I get the most use out of and the most enjoyment. And that could be very well different than what you like to do in your own gameplay and play style. This is my personal opinions on my favorite expansion packs in The Sims 4. We're going to be doing everything involving The Sims 4. In this episode, we're going to do the expansion packs. We will do the stuff packs and game packs in a separate video. And we're doing cast kits and build kits in a separate video too. So just a heads up. But this video is all about expansion packs. Now, there are 17 expansion packs so far in The Sims 4. I don't have all of them. I have 16 out of 17. The only one that I don't have is Life and Death, so I feel like it's unfair for me to rank it, even though I feel like I have a solid opinion on where it would rank in my own personal favorites lists. However, since I don't own it, I don't feel right about ranking it, so I will not be ranking Life and Death. Instead, I have a separate tier list for packs that I do not own based on how badly I want to get them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so before I reveal my least favorite expansion pack of all time, I want to clarify that the bottom three I have personal beef with. It has nothing to do with the quality of the pack. I think some of them are really good. Some have really great aspects to them because when it comes to expansion packs, we can rank them based on 4 different things: the gameplay that it comes with, build and buy, cast assets, and then the world that it comes in if it applies. And so there are some expansion packs that I really enjoy certain aspects about, but the other 3 I feel not as strongly about, and therefore it drags it down really low for me. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and reveal my least favorite expansion pack of all time. So number 16 on the list for me personally is going to be Eco Lifestyle. Let's talk about it because that might be a little bit controversial to some of you guys. For me personally, I really dislike the gameplay that it comes with. I really get frustrated and annoyed every time this expansion pack turns off my electricity or water when I'm trying to throw a party. It's always at the most inconvenient time and it just annoys me to hell, this expansion pack. Not to mention Evergreen Harbor, by far one of the worst worlds that it comes with. I really never play there. I never go there. I don't want to go there, in fact. And so it's definitely a scrap world for me. And the gameplay it comes with, it's pretty solid. However, there are some things that annoy me. Obviously, I really like eco-friendliness. I support that. We care about the environment over here. However, I'm not even talking about that aspect of it. I'm just more so talking about the dumpster diving, bug eating, and then the full meat wall that it comes with. All those 3 things really disgust me and I do not want to do it in my game. Please take that out of my game. Now, even though the build and buy mode is really strong in the Eco Lifestyle, it is just not enough for me to rank it any higher, unfortunately. And because of everything that I mentioned, my enjoyment for this pack is really close to none, aside from the build and buy mode. The cast assets are really not strong. There is not a single standout that comes to mind when it comes to cast assets in Eco Lifestyle. So Eco Lifestyle, unfortunately, gets put in D tier for me. Now moving on to number 15 on my list, it is going to be For Rent. Unfortunately, I am currently playing Tiny Town Challenge. If you're not familiar with it, I'm not going to explain all the rules to you, but basically you live in separate units and you build up your own plot of land. And because it is very fresh on my mind, the bugs in this game really frustrate me because I'm actively playing for rent. Even though I got it for a really nice price, if you know what I mean, I still get really annoyed with the bugs that for rent puts in my game. Aside from the bugs, I really don't feel strongly about Tamarang. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really explored it very much, and I did not get a huge desire to do that. So Tamarang does not rank very highly on my favorite worlds, and so I don't tend to live there or gravitate towards going there. Not to mention the build and buy and cast assets just don't stand out to me. I feel like there's a couple of good things, just none of them really kind of suit my personal gameplay. Therefore, For Rent just does not rank very highly on my list. So, therefore, For Rent gets put right in front of Eco Lifestyle. Let's do it. There we go. Moving on to number 14 on my least favorite expansion packs, it's going to be Growing Together. Now, this one I'm the most nervous about saying out loud because I know a lot of people ride for that pack. For me personally, I just don't find a lot of enjoyment from Growing Together. I feel like the gameplay is very minimal and abysmal at best. The only thing that it adds to your game is family dynamics, and I feel like those are so easily expressed through your own personal gameplay. You don't have to have a thing that says that you have a difficult relationship with your mother, for instance. And so for me, I just really don't find a lot of use for that gameplay. And so I don't really enjoy the gameplay that it comes with. I really think that Parenthood did it better personally. And so if you were looking for family gameplay, I would get Parenthood over Growing Together. I find the lots in San Sequoia to be very weirdly laid out. I think it's very hard to build in San Sequoia, and I don't tend to live there or build there at all. I will say the build and buy mode and cast assets in that expansion packs are really solid. Therefore, it earned its 14th spot on my list, ahead of Eco Lifestyle and For Rent. So don't hate me for that opinion, please. So Growing Together is going down in D tier, right ahead of For Rent and Eco Lifestyle. Now, moving on to our C tier, those are going to be packs that I think are very good in theory. However, in practice, they kind of fall short. I get some use out of them. However, I think they could be improved upon so much more. And I really wish that they were better because I think that they would be very solid packs otherwise. So in number 13, it's going to be our very first expansion pack we got, Get to Work. I think actually going to work with your sim is fun. I like it in Get Famous and I like it in Get to Work if it worked in Get to Work. I think it's so buggy that it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. I tend to not play with those careers at all because of how frustrating it is to actually go to work with them, and therefore I don't use this pack as much as I wish I did. To me, I really like having the job title of being a doctor or a scientist or a police officer, but I don't actually like to go to work with them. The retail system I actually get a fair amount of use out of. In my personal Let's Play the Kaplans, I use the retail system with my sim Isabel Kaplan. She owns a clothing store, and in my mind, she is the fashion designer that created these clothes, and therefore she's selling it in her own store. And so I really like that aspect of it. It is genuinely really hard to sell clothes in or anything in the retail system, and therefore it's kind of challenging. I feel like it really needs to be fine-tuned a little bit in order for it to perform better, but other than that, I think it's a really great idea for a pack. Therefore, Get to Work earns a 13th spot on my list and the first expansion pack to be in C tier. Now, the next expansion pack on my list, number 12, is going to be Seasons. That's another one that I'm kind of nervous about saying out loud because a lot of people tend to enjoy this pack. I am of the opinion that there's not a lot of gameplay associated with Seasons. It literally just adds weather, and that's it. I feel like there could have been so much more to do in Seasons other than just adding environmental changes to your game. Therefore, I feel like I don't enjoy playing with Seasons very much because it's literally weather, and I feel like it's things that kind of is frustrating at times, depending on what you're trying to do, because those severe thunderstorms and snowstorms or blizzards are really frustrating at times. And since I get frustrated sometimes, it really lowers my enjoyment for the season's expansion pack. But other than that, I find that the holiday systems are kind of fun. I feel like it does add value to your gameplay, but not enough to rank it any higher for me personally. Obviously, there is no world that comes with seasons, so at the time it was a huge disappointment for everyone. I feel like they justified not adding a world with that expansion pack by saying that it affects every other existing world, which is valid, but still kind of disappointing. So seasons, we've got a number 12 on my ranking in front of Get Together in the tier list. Number 11 on my list is going to be Lovestruck. It is one of the newer expansion packs that was added to The Sims 4. I feel like Lovestruck was a very solid idea in theory, but in practice it kind of fell short. Everyone wanted online dating and dating apps in the game so badly, and when they finally added it, it was just kind of buggy and glitchy and really hard for it to work. And because of these glitches that are involved with Lovestruck, it really lowers my enjoyment for that expansion pack. Not to mention, I am of the opinion of that Lovestruck should have been a game pack instead. I feel like a lot of simmers have the same opinion. And I totally agree with that. Simmers like to say that about all of the expansion packs. However, I feel like in this case, they are correct. I think some of the build and buy objects are really solid, but I think not a lot of it is cohesive. Some of it is very random and not very usable for me. And so I don't really like to build and buy all that much. The cast assets are pretty solid, but it's just not enough to rank this pack any higher. So because the gameplay is very buggy and I don't really enjoy Ciudad Emirata very much, I am ranking it at a number 11th on the list. So our last expansion pack in our C tier is going to be Lovestruck, ahead of Seasons, obviously. Now moving on to our C tier, I have a total of 4 expansion packs in that tier, and those expansion packs I think are really good expansion packs. However, I don't get a lot of personal use in my own gameplay. At number 10, and this is the most controversial take that I think I have, I think my number 10th pick is the only one that I'm scared to really say, and it's going to be Cottage Living. Now, like I said earlier, I think it's a very solid pack. Objectively, it is a lot better than some of the packs ahead of it on my personal list. It is just not a pack that I get a lot of personal use in my gameplay. I think Henford on Bagley is a stunning world. However, I just don't tend to live there very often. Obviously, in my Tiny Town series, that's where we're based. Other than that, I haven't had the opportunity to live there or the urge to, for whatever reason. I really don't know. I think it's a stunning world. I just don't tend to live there. The gameplay is really solid. It is some of the best gameplay that we have in game. However, I don't tend to play as a farmer very often or a gardener, and therefore it gets a number 10th spot for me. Again, it's a really, really, really good pack. However, I don't tend to use it as much as I should. These are all very subjective. Obviously, if you do this list, it's going to look extremely different than my own. And that's the beauty of The Sims 4. Not everything is going to appeal to you that appeals to me, and vice versa. However, how I play right now, it just does not involve a lot of cottage living. Personally. All right, moving on to our number 9th spot. It is going to be Cats and Dogs. Now, this one is really weird for me because for the longest time, I refused to buy Cats and Dogs for whatever reason. I just did not find it very appealing. I think playing with cats and dogs are really not all that exciting for me. I obviously, in real life, I have a cat. I love him very much. He adds so much to my life and I would literally die for him. However, in The Sims 4, I feel like playing with cats and dogs are kind of really boring. I don't do it very often. If I'm being honest, sometimes I tend to kind of neglect them a little bit. Don't call Pete on me. They're okay. They're fed, they're clean, and they're kept very entertained. So don't worry about my cats and dogs. Worry about your own, okay? The veterinarian career is not a career that I tend to play with. I'll be the first to admit, I don't think I've ever played with that career. I just never felt the urge to or interested in playing as a veterinarian, and therefore I just haven't taken advantage of the opportunity. From what I hear, it seems like it's a very glitchy and buggy career, but it is kind of cool to own and run your own vet. I think that's kind of interesting for sure. And even though I don't like the gameplay very often, however, Brintleton Bay, oh my god, I think it ranks second on my favorite world that ever comes in this game. I love the build and buy objects. The cast, it's okay and it's not very strong, but it does the job. I feel like I definitely use cats and dogs a lot more than cottage living, and therefore it gets a number 9 on my list. A lot of my families tend to have a dog or a cat, and I tend to live and play in Brintleton Bay often. Our next expansion pack in the 8th spot is going to be Island Living. This goes without saying, Solani is one of the best worlds that ever comes in The Sims 4. I think it definitely ranks 3rd on my list. However, there's just not a lot of gameplay attached to this expansion pack. I love, love, love being a conservationist. I love that it added jet skiing. I love that we have boats. I love that it kind of feels like an open world. There are a lot of elements in Island Living that I cannot play this game without. However, I feel like it's one of those packs that just needs a little more. You know what I mean? I do really enjoy this one. However, compared to the other ones, it doesn't hold as strong for me personally. I think the build and buy is okay. I think for what the expansion pack is, it makes a lot of sense. I don't feel like I get a lot of use out of it. However, when I play in Solani, I definitely use a lot of these objects, which actually tends to be quite a little bit. I have 2 households in my personal gameplay that live in Solani. So yeah, I mean, no complaints for me. Cast assets, I think it's the same as the build and buy. For what it is, it makes a lot of sense. And in the right context, you definitely need these objects. So yeah, number 8 on the list. I feel like Island Living is one of those packs that a lot of people tend to hate on. However, I really enjoyed this expansion pack. I think it adds a lot to my personal gameplay. I love vacationing in Solani. I love playing in Solani. I love a lot of things that comes with that expansion pack. I don't tend to play with occults, therefore mermaids really don't bother me all that much. When we get to the game pack section, you will see that the only game packs I don't own are vampires, werewolves, and the realm of magic, and Batu and Stranger Things, but those are separate. We'll talk about those when we get to game packs. Alright, so number 7 on my list and the last one in C tier, it is going to be Horse Ranch. Now this one is another one that a lot of people do not like. However, I personally think that they did horses justice. I think there's a lot to do with them. In my own personal Tiny Town gameplay, I'm currently playing with horses. I literally have not encountered a single bug, and I feel like Horse Ranch should get its flowers for that. I think Chestnut Ridge is a very stunning world. I don't think it's the best one that we have, but I feel like it's very solid. It's inspired by Arizona. Some of the views in that world are to die for, literally. I think it's stunning. And it's one of the few worlds that we have in-game that have a deserty type of feel to it, if you know what I mean. I think winemaking is so much fun. It's a very lucrative way to make money quick in your gameplay. I'm obsessed with Italy, and so being able to create vineyards or wineries or that type of aesthetic is very useful to me personally. I think I tend to do that a lot in my gameplay. Build and buy and cast is kind of similar to Island Living. I think for what the expansion pack is, it makes a lot of sense. It's Western, it's Yeehaw, we've got cow print, we've got rustic furniture and Western clothes. Obviously, when we're doing a cowboy pack, basically, it makes sense. So I feel like for what it is, it's very solid. It's useful when you need it. And it's some of it is kind of really pretty. So there you go. Definitely some of the better executed and cohesive build and buy and casts, in my opinion. I genuinely think horse riding and entering competition is such a fun and cool skill and hobby to add to your gameplay. And for what it is, I think it's really well executed. Therefore, it gets a 7th spot for me and the last one in B tier. Now we're moving on to our A tier. There's going to be a total of 3 packs in that tier. And those packs I get a lot of personal use out of. Granted, they're not my favorite, but they're very solid and really useful, and I love playing with those packs. Therefore, they rank very highly to me. So our 6th spot and the first one in A tier, it's going to be high school years. That is going to be another controversial one. However, I tend to have a lot of my Sims go to high school, obviously, because they have to go to school. I quite enjoy going to school with them, even though it's kind of repetitive. I feel like it's still fun. It's a way for us to explore, what goes on in high school for our Sims. I think it's a great way to storytell and deepen your teens' characters and also add depth to them. You can play with a gender identity and sexuality in that pack. I think that's such a cool idea. It added shaving, it added puberty. It's just a really fun one to me. I think that the thrifting and also the boba store is so fun, and I tend to bring my teens there so often. Copperdale is one of those worlds that I think is so breathtakingly beautiful. I haven't had the opportunity to live there yet, but I definitely want to. I just think some of the lots are a little bit weird and kind of unlivable in. Other than that, I really like that world. Plus, we kind of have a mini amusement park area, which I think is so cool to take your Sims to. And the build and buy and cast assets are one of the strongest in this game. And therefore, I feel like I get a lot of use out of high school years, and therefore it ranks A tier and number 6 on my list. I know some of you are mad about that, but I don't care. I feel like high school years is really fun to play with. I go to high school a lot with my Sims, even though the prom and graduation is a little bit buggy, I will admit. Like in my own personal gameplay, when my sim graduated high school, the principal never showed up, and therefore I couldn't collect my diploma. And so it definitely has a couple bugs that needs fixing. Other than that, I really enjoy the gameplay that it comes with that expansion pack. All right, so we're down to our top 5. In the 5th spot, it's going to be City Living. San Myshuno is the first city world that we've ever gone in The Sims 4. I think it's the best one that we have over Ciudad and Murata. I tend to live there very, very frequently. I love being on a penthouse. I love renting a apartment. I love the festivals that it brings. I love that we have graffiti. I love that we have basketball. I love that we have a video gaming console, even though we have one in base game now with the reward events that we've had recently. But still, it added gaming consoles and it added karaoke. All of those things are so fun to play with and utilize. It adds a lot of character to your Sims, and it's genuinely fleshed out and fun to play with, in my opinion. Therefore, it gets a number 6 spot on my list. City Living is just one of those packs that I really cannot play this game without. It added some really cool careers like politician and the social media career, and a lot of those hobbies that I talked about really add to my personal gameplay for sure. I know that you're looking at the remaining packs down there and you're like, oh, what the hell is going on? But again, it's my ranking. Do not judge me. In the 4th spot, it's going to be Snowy Escape. I said it. I love Snowy Escape. I am a Snowy Escape apologist. I love the rock climbing skill. Also, I really love that we have skiing and snowboarding and sledging in this game. I really tend to utilize a lot of those skills Because I feel like sometimes skiing and snowboarding can feel a little bit classist, some of my Sims that I play with tend to be rich and famous. And because of that, I feel like having those skills and hobbies very fun to play with in my personal gameplay. Not to mention that the cast assets that come with that expansion pack are some of my favorite stuff in this game. And the build and buy is very, very strong as well. I definitely get a lot of personal use out of those two aspects of the game. I tend to use that pack a lot with my sim Icarus. He is my adventurous sim. He has that lifestyle, which is a feature that comes with Snowy Escape. It's a really fun way to storytell. For instance, some of my Sims have the workaholic lifestyle. They really prioritize working and they get tense if they don't go to work that often. And I think it just really adds a lot of value to storytelling and gameplay aspect for sure. And then you add Mount Kamarabi to the mix. I just love going there. I think it's a stunning world. The builders did such a great job, which are simmers that actually built the lots on that pack. I really like playing in that world. I think it's stunning, and I tend to go there all the time. So it ranks very highly on my list. It's just fun, okay? It is fun. You guys love to hate on Snowy Escape, but I love playing with that pack so much. And I don't want to hear none of it in the comments below. Please and thank you. All right, so number 3 on the list, it's going to be Discover University. It's one of those packs that not a lot of people rate highly. I personally get a lot of use out of Discover University. A lot of my Sims tend to go to college. And when I send my Sims to college, it's one of those character defining experiences where they just tend to come to their own after they moved away from their family. You get to focus on them specifically because when you're playing with Discover University, you have to focus on them. Otherwise, you'll never graduate. And it's kind of hard to complete your college degree, so it adds a little bit of a challenge element to it that I kind of enjoy. However, I will say when it comes to recording it as part of your Let's Play, it is very time consuming and you have to set aside a lot of time in order to complete. So much so that I had to kind of record a whole semester for one episode so we can speed the process. Otherwise, we would spend so many episodes just playing University. I still think it's so much fun. I think that the cast assets are really good. I think that the build and buy is very strong as well. It has a mix of traditional objects and kind of modern IKEA looking furniture for dorms, which I think is kind of interesting. It added one of my favorite objects in this game, which is that Juliet balcony, if you know what I mean. I just think it's stunning, and it has one of my favorite fences too. Just a solid basic stone fence that we just don't have in this game for whatever reason. It really benefits your sim to actually go to college because it boosts them so far in their career. When my sim started her job as a lawyer, she started at level 7 in her career straight out of college. That is insane to me. So I really love playing with Discover University. It's hard, but it's worth it for sure. And I don't run into a lot of bugs when I'm playing with it, unlike high school years. So that's a plus. I just love it. I just love the build and buy. I love the cast assets, and I love the world of Brightchester that comes with Discover University. So not a lot of complaints when it comes to that pack for me. All right, this was actually our first expansion pack in our C tier, our third spot, Discover University. So moving on to my second place favorite expansion pack of all time, it is going to be Get Famous. I'm gonna be honest, if there was no Get Famous, there would not have been my Kaplan series, and if there was no Kaplan series, there would not have been this channel. That expansion pack has inspired my Kaplan series, which I've loved so much that I've started a YouTube channel for it. So this expansion pack ranks very highly for me because of that. Not to mention, I love the fame system. I love the acting career. I love that you can get famous out of just painting, writing, or winning gaming competitions and horse competitions. I think that's such a cool and unique way to have your sim be famous. And you can very easily opt out of fame if you don't want to have your sim be in the spotlight. I think that's kind of fun. With that being said, I feel like Del Sol Valley is one of the biggest disappointments of Get Famous. I definitely hate Del Sol Valley. Even though the hills area is kind of fun to live in, other than that, I don't like to play in the world very often. I find the Starlight accolades to be very entertaining, and I love having my Sims win awards and become famous. And therefore, this pack gets a lot of personal use from me. I like to play with rich and famous Sims. It's just very fun to me personally. So it ranks second on my list. I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to my guns. I know this one's gonna get a lot of flack too. Again, a lot of controversial takes on the expansion packs from this front. But I don't care. I love it. I love it. All right, so that leaves my number one pick. It's the none other than Get Together. I literally cannot play this game without that expansion pack. I think that the club system has saved my life so many times. It's so fun for storytelling. It's a way for you to get the family together. It's fun to create book clubs, painting clubs, if you want to make money, if you want to create cliques, or just there's just a lot of use out of the club system. And you can gain skill very fast with Get Together, and so it's very useful. There's literally not a single household that I do not utilize Get Together for. So it's definitely one of my most used expansion pack, and I really, really enjoy it. The star of Get Together is obviously Windenburg for me. I literally play and live there all the time. I cannot play this game without Windenburg or Get Together in general. I feel like it adds so much to the quality of my gameplay and to my general enjoyment of The Sims 4. And so it gets the number one spot for me personally, even though that the build and buy and cast assets were strong when they first came out, but with the most newer expansion packs, they just have a lot more better stuff. Even after saying all that, I feel like I still get some use out of a lot of the stuff that comes with that expansion pack, but the standout for me is definitely the gameplay and the world. It added nightclubs, it added cafes, it added DJ skills. All of those stuff are just so fun to play with and utilize in gameplay. And so without a doubt, my favorite expansion pack of this game is Get Together. So yeah, the last and the most loved expansion pack is going to be Get Together at number one. And that kind of concludes my final ranking of all of my owned expansion packs. Again, they're all very personal to my gameplay and taste of what I like to do in The Sims 4. I cannot stress enough that I know for a fact that your list is going to look so much different than mine. This is just my opinion, so please put the gun down. However, we are still not done yet. There's still one expansion pack that we have not talked about, which is Life and Death. It is the only expansion pack in The Sims 4 that I do not own. Therefore, I've created a special ranking specifically for it. For all of the packs that I do not own in The Sims 4, I've created its specific tier list of 4 categories. On the top, I have Dying to Get, which is where I'm going to be placing the packs that I cannot wait to get my hands on. Probably on sale are the packs that are kind of on my radar, but I'm just not really rushing to buy it. When I get to it, I'll get to it. In our only if it's free category is one of those packs that I just will not pass up if it's free. Other than that, I'm just really not interested in buying. And then Never, it's going to be the packs that I will never, ever, ever want in my game, even if they paid me to get it. I do not want this. I'm not interested in it. In fact, I wish it never existed. However, for our Life and Death expansion pack, it's going to be ranked in Dying to Get. This expansion pack in specifically, I feel like I'm going to get the most use out of in my Kaplan series, which is currently on hiatus. Therefore, there's not a need for it, but I still cannot wait to get it. I want to play with it. I'm dying to play with it. But for right now, I'm kind of holding back a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do before I restart my Kaplan series is definitely buy Life and Death. So there you have it. Those are my final ranking of the Sims 4 expansion packs. I hope I've given you enough reason for why I'm ranking each pack in which tier. Again, this whole thing is very subjective and it's all fun and games. None of it is serious. So please, please do not dox me. I'm very open to polite conversation in the comments below. In fact, I kind of encourage it. I would love to hear your own opinions. What do you think I've got wrong and what do you think I should have done differently? Do it in a very nice manner, please and thank you. But if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. But other than that, that is everything I have for you today. I will see you in the next one. Bye 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 bye.